partnering with you guys at business stations, and really looking forward to Lyndelle sharing all of the little tips and tricks that can help our businesses. So without me babbling on anymore, that's probably all I really wanted to say. And welcome everyone today. And hopefully, if you can leave some comments and give us some feedback in terms of what you found was really good and what was beneficial, that would be awesome. So thank you, Trinity and Lyndelle. So I'll hand over to you.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for having us here today. So today's session, it is all about refining your sales strategies so that you can be closing more deals, being more efficient in your sales processes, improving your sales funnels, and just ultimately strengthening your small business. And we're really fortunate to be joined by one of our expert business coaches today, an incredible expert in this area, Lyndelle. Lyndelle, I'd love you to take a moment now to introduce yourself and a little bit of your background so that we can get to know you.
Thanks so much, Trinity. Hi, everybody. It's fantastic to be here. What a great initiative. And I'm really excited to dive into the topic today and hopefully bring you some fresh and unique perspectives in how to think about simplifying your sales process to close more deals. As business owners, there's nothing more important than serving your customers with a solid sales process that can actually solve their problems. And that's what really we're going to be diving into today. Just a little bit about me, so you've got a bit of a background on who I am. I've built and sold a number of businesses over the past 20 years. Most recently, I built and scaled a global e-commerce brand to multiple 7 figures per year over an 11-year period. We shipped to 135 countries. We're incorporated in 5 regions, and we're creating and selling a proprietary personal development physical product and coaching product that we sold both to B2C and B2B markets. It was globally trademarked, and there was a lot of components to the business, which literally started on my kitchen table before exiting 11 years later in 2022. I personally brokered the sale of the business to a US buyer. So I have a good understanding of the entire business life cycle, from startup to exit and everything in between, from sales and marketing, product creation, team design, business structure, supplier agreements, customs, shipping, logistics, manufacturing. And a big part of scaling the brand was having a solid sales process in place. Since 2018, I've been coaching business owners and entrepreneurs to build and scale their businesses. And so what we're going to be talking about today is really selling made simple and providing you with some, as Trinity said, some simple tactics, strategies, and tools so that you can close more sales in your business. So I like to run a really interactive workshop style session. So you'll need to have a pen and paper handy, or if you've got your digital notes, however you like to take notes, but whatever you do, you're going to need to be taking some notes. There's going to be a lot of information that I'm going to be sharing with you, but more importantly, I'm going to be getting you to really think about where you currently are in your sales process. What are the gaps between where you are now, where you want to be, and how to close that gap, okay? Nothing happens, the last thing that we want you to do is turn up to this session, go amazing content, amazing information, but well, hopefully that's what I'm hoping you'll say, but then go away and actually do nothing about it. Okay, so we definitely want to make sure you turn this knowledge and these insights that I give you today into actionable strategies that you can take forward. So with that being said, let's jump in and let's get started. So selling made simple. I just want to make sure that I can see the chat here. So just give me a minute. I just want to make sure that I can, because I'm going to be jumping in and I want to see, there's the chat. Let me see. Okay, great. So who thinks sales is difficult? I'd really like to understand. If you can just let me know in the chat, is selling something that comes natural to you? Do you think it's a simple thing, or do you actually think it's hard? I'd love to just get a consensus across the group about what everybody thinks. Great. And if you do think that it's difficult, what part of it is difficult? Just, can be uncomfortable. What else is everybody thinking at this point? Some people think it's difficult. Some people feel it's uncomfortable. I think it can be simple if you have good relationships, but it can be difficult if not. Yep. Okay. I can talk about something I like or I'm passionate about, but when it comes to a sell, I can't. Okay, isn't that interesting? So when we're in normal conversation, it can feel very natural, but as soon as the thought of having to sell something, we can often freeze up and it becomes difficult. Don't feel comfortable when it's with someone I don't know. Okay. Simple but sustained results can vary. Yep. Okay. So there's a wide range. Some people are feeling comfortable with it in certain circumstances and not in other circumstances. So, but I think it's good. Everybody has a little bit of apprehension and they're good at some parts of it, not good at other parts. So isn't that just comforting to know that everybody is in the same boat? All right, so let's have a look. So the workshop outcomes for today is really to identify some common sales mistakes. So what are some of the frequent things that come up that gets in the way of you closing more sales? Strategies and tools to sell more, build confidence in your ability to sell, and understanding buyer behavior and the triggers and the psychology behind what makes somebody buy. Okay, so what we're going to start with is a SWOT. So this is SWOT your sales process, okay? So before we even get started and dive into all of the nuts and bolts of a good sales process, I want to take 2 or 3 minutes here at the top of the call. As I said, this is going to be interactive. I love a good SWOT because what it helps you do is very, very quickly distill down what the good and bad of what you're currently dealing with. Often we'll think about a SWOT as an overarching, often in a business plan, but you can actually use a SWOT for the very, very granular processes in your business. So we're going to look at it purely on your sales process today. So just take a few minutes and think about what are the strengths of your current sales process, okay? So what's good about your current sales process? Could be 2 or 3 things. If you could really dig for maybe 4 or 5, that would be even better. The second is obviously what's not good about your current sales process, what's letting you down. And then obviously you're going to look at your opportunities. What can I implement? Now, maybe some of you have got no idea and that's why you're on the call today, and that's totally fine. We will come back to review this at the end once I've given you some ideas. But if you can just look at the moment and just really think about what are your current strengths, what are your current weaknesses, okay? And just jot those down very quickly. And of course, your threats. So what makes our current sales process difficult? Maybe some of these are really obvious and maybe you just have to dig a little bit for these. But I always like to have a benchmark of where you're starting with, okay? Where the gaps are. And this is a really good habit to get into, is to just do these mini SWOTs because it helps you very quickly capture where you are right now. Now, straight away, you might already see, just by writing your strengths and weaknesses, that it automatically leads to what some of the opportunities could be, okay? A little bit longer, just dig a little bit further. Obviously, the more that you put into this, the more you're going to get out. So what's going really well? What's not good? And what makes it difficult? Maybe it's industry based. Maybe it's difficult because of the industry you're in, or there's a lot of competition, or whatever it might be. What are the threats? What makes it difficult for you? All right, so we're going to move on and talk about some of the common pitfalls in sales strategies. So obviously this is not an exhaustive list in any way. This is just, there's a lot of things that can obviously go wrong in a sales process, but mistake number one is not having any sales process at all. So I'd love for you to consider each of these, and just in your own way, you can write these down and then rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5. Where are you? How is your sales process? Okay, obviously, depending on the kind of business that you have, whether you're product-based, service-based, your sales process is obviously going to look very different, okay? We're going to get into that a little bit at more depth, but just having a high-level look at these mistakes, okay? So no consistent and dedicated sales strategy is so very common, just ad hoc. Number 2 is product overfocus, so concentrating too much on features rather than addressing customer needs. So do you do this? Again, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5. Is this something that you find yourself doing, talking about features rather than solving problems for your customer? Mistake number 3 is lack of trust. So a big issue is not establishing trust at the front end, okay? Which means loss of sales at the back end. So are you establishing enough trust to be able to get them over the line? So where are you on a scale of 1 to 5? Mistake number 4 is being too pushy. Do you ever find yourself thinking or doing aggressive selling tactics, thinking that that's what's required to get a customer to sign up with you or buy from you? Because that kind of selling alienates your customer. So is that a problem for you? Or is mistake number 5 actually your problem, which is actually not being pushy enough? So not asking for the sale, not picking up on the buyer cues to then go in and ask for the sale at the right time. So is any of these resonating with you? If they are, just which one of those do you think, and just pop it in the chat, do you feel that you could focus on or need to focus on the most that would actually translate to more sales? Yep. Not being pushy enough. Product over focus. Great. No sales process at all. Yep. So all of a sudden, the priority becomes very, very clear. This is what I need to do. Yep. So not being pushy enough is quite common. Not asking for the sale, being afraid to ask for the sale. So why a prospect buys? So we're going to go into the psychology and the thought process behind why somebody buys from you, okay? So there's 4 steps that a customer, a client, a prospect, or a potential customer or client is going to have when they come through your door, into your chat, whatever sales channel that they turn up to, okay? And when these 4 are aligned, and when you are a 5 out of 5 on every single one of these, that's when you're going to make the sale, okay? If one of these is lacking, if you skip one of these, if you jump to a certain, if you jump to one of these before ensuring that the others are handled, you're going to miss the sale. Okay. So the first one is positioning. So this has to do with branding, market position, which is your online presence, social proof, testimonials, word of mouth. Okay. All of that encompasses your position, your brand positioning. And all of this happens before they even reach out to you. Okay, so this is where they're pre-sold to an extent. So this needs to be a 5 out of 5. Okay, they're not sold yet, but they're at a 5 out of 5 enough to reach out to you over somebody else. The next step is the customer experience. So what is the rapport? What's the interaction with the salesperson, with your business, with your company? How does that feel to them? Are they greeted with somebody that's confident, that's helpful, that's knowledgeable? Are you providing any value up front that's building trust? And does the experience match the positioning? So they got an experience of you from your branding and your market position and word of mouth. Now they've had an interaction with you. Do those two match? Is there congruency there? Because if there is, you've now got a 5 out of 5 on the posture and they've built that foundation and now they're trusting you. Okay. So then they're willing to now take the next step to look at your product and your solution. So at this point, the buyer is looking to validate the performance and the outcome of your product to ensure that it can actually solve their problem. All right. So they love your brand. They bought into your brand philosophy. They like you. They like how you're approaching it. They like your posture. And now they're trying on your product and they want to know, is this a good fit for me? So if they love your product and it's a 5 out of 5, the next thing that they want to know is this going to fit my budget? Okay. So are you competitive in the market? Is this a good ROI on my investment? Is this amazing value for the money? And of course, does it fit my budget? Okay. So if that's a 5 out of 5, you've got positioning 5 out of 5, posture, product, and then price is a good fit, or you can offer them some sort of solution like a payment plan option that can fit their budget. That's going to be a 5 out of 5. Then you've got a sale. Okay. So this is how the prospect shows up. They're not thinking price straight away. They want to know, first of all, do the other things line up? And if everything else lines up, the price feels right, it's great value, then you're going to have a sale. So where in this timeline of events do you need to tighten up your sales process? Is it your positioning? Is it your brand positioning? Is it your online presence, your social proof? Is it your interaction with your salespeople? Are they knowledgeable? Are they confident? Are they building trust at that point? Is it your product that needs work? So you're really good at positioning. You might be really good at your sales, but the product's letting you down. So at what point in your sales process is it falling down? Where's the drop off? And then, or is it price? So people love everything else. They love the product. They're not buying because the price there's not a match there. They can get it elsewhere as good for a better price. Okay, so you might have heard of the ABC of selling. Does anyone know what the ABC of selling is? You can probably have a guess. Maybe if you're a bit old school and you've seen Glengarry Glen Ross, you might think you know what the ABC of selling is. Anyone want to have a crack in the chat? Nobody's game to put it in. It's not what you think. Nobody's having a go. You might think ABC of selling is always be closing. Always be closing is a kind of typical ABC of selling, but that's not what I'm talking about today, okay? What I'm talking about today is what your avatar or your prospect wants to, okay? What your avatar or your prospect wants to. Now, let me clarify. Your prospect is obviously a person standing right in front of you, a very unique person with all of their wants, needs, and solution, a problem they need solved. An avatar is an overarching archetype of who you typically sell to, okay? But what your avatar or prospect wants to either avoid, what they want to become, or what they want to create. Now, if you don't know this, if you don't know what your avatar is, you need to do some work around that. Who's my demographic? Maybe you've heard it expressed that way. Who's my demographic? Your avatar is the person that you typically sell to. Okay. And then a prospect is obviously, if you've done some discovery and you know about them, you're going to know what they want to avoid, what they want to become, or what they want to create. And when you know these things, you can speak to them in the language that they want to hear. And it sounds familiar to them and it feels comforting because you're going to show them that you know what they need. So the starting point here is to start with an avatar. You've been in your business long enough to know, I know who comes through my door. I know what they want to avoid, what they don't want. I know what they want to become, and I know the outcome that they want to create. It doesn't really matter whether it's John, Paul, Jane, Jenny, or whoever. They seem to have a common theme. So if you can distill that down into your avatar, that's your first step. And then your second step is through a process of discovery, through questioning, open-ended questions, and really asking them to understand the very person standing in front of you, what they want to avoid, what they want to become, and what they want to create. And then you're going to bring the solution. And that is as simple as it is. You are the solution to their problem. So here is 8 simple strategies for more sales. Now, they are simple, but I'm not saying that it's easy. Okay, so they will take some practice. They will take a little bit of leaning into the discomfort of learning something new. But when you do, you'll start to become more comfortable in this space and you will see that it is actually quite simple. So the first one is, as you've already identified, build a solid sales process. So what is your current sales process? What is your pitch? Do you have one? Have you practiced your pitch? Do you know what your discovery process? What are the 5 questions you ask everybody that you speak to uncover what they want to avoid, what they want to become, and what they want to create? It's going to be different for all of you because you're all obviously in different businesses, you're selling different products, but the process is the same, okay? It's a process of discovery and really understanding the person who's standing in front of you or this person you're speaking to as to what they need, what their needs are. Do you know what your customer avatar is? Do you know why they buy? So how do you do that? Well, maybe you'll survey your existing customer base. Why are they buying? And that's how you can actually build an understanding and start to use data to drive your sales process. Go deeper into understanding your customer. And maybe as part of a solid sales process, you realize, actually, I need to hire a salesperson. And often in a business, the very next hire should be a salesperson so that you can remove yourself from that and continue to, hire an expert and then continue to build out and work on your business. All right. So that could be where you are. Maybe it's time for you to hire a salesperson. Maybe you've already got salespeople, but you actually need to build a more robust plan around what they're currently doing. And maybe it's about removing yourself from the sales process if that's not your thing, if that's not your genius and you want to work in another area and have somebody else fill that role. Number 2, this strategy is, as I said, speaking to your customer, whether that's on email, and we'll get into the sales channels in a moment, but every touch point, every part of your, wherever you have a connection with a customer is a potential sales channel, okay? So it doesn't matter where you're connecting with them. This is all about staying curious, all right? So get the prospect talking. Avoid going into presentation mode and just telling them about all your features and benefits and price and then wondering if they want to buy. So don't go into that too soon and oversell. Go into it gently and just stay curious. Remain curious, ask questions. So what are you looking for? You know, and just get them to start telling you, okay? So that you can gather information that will help you overcome the objection and close the sale. So whenever you feel yourself going into that tensed, I now need to sell, your new mantra is stay curious, breathe, and just start asking some questions, all right? And let them do the talking, let them sell themselves, and you're simply bringing a solution once you hear what they actually need. Number 3, isolate the issue. So at the point of closing the sale, there's going to be a lot of reasons, okay, about why they might not want to proceed, and overcoming the objection of why they're not going to buy today is going to be one of your primary areas that you're going to need to improve on, okay, overcoming those objections. So the only way to handle these, what I call collapsed conversations, where it's not really clear why they're not going forward, they're just telling you no, is to actually find out the one underlying reason for not going ahead so that you can deal just with that objection, okay? So for example, you're going to say, yep, I understand the investment of 2K is more than you think you can afford at the moment. I understand that. But if we just put the price aside for the moment, are you happy with everything else? Okay, so what you're doing here is you're removing the price and you're now going to test them to see if it really is the price, or if they end up saying, well, actually, it's not just the price, it's the color, it's the size, it's the, oh, okay. So then you have to deal with each of those things. Okay, well, color's fine. We've got these colors, size is fine. We've got these options. Are you happy with that? Yeah, no, I'm happy with that one. Okay. So now that you're happy with the size and you're happy with the color, is it the price or is it something else? No, it's probably just the price. Okay. Well, and then you know what you're dealing with. Okay. So isolate the issue, and then you know how to handle that issue, how to handle that concern, and then you that's much closer to getting them over the line. Okay. But if you don't know what the true issue is and it's collapsed down and you haven't unpacked that with them, you'll never know what you're really dealing with. Okay. So the next one is really, it's quite similar, but it's about dealing with the elephant in the room. Okay. So it's go towards the prospects, that should be prospects' fears. Okay. Don't back away from their fears, but get right in there and deal with the elephant in the room. So what this requires from you is to be able to have those authentic conversations with people and not be afraid of the no, not be afraid of rejection. But if you can get in there and unpack their concerns right there on the spot, you can then do and pull in the third strategy, which was isolate the problem. You can actually get into what's their biggest concern is, unpack that fear with them. So what are your concerns? And really go there. Don't be afraid to go there. It's going to be so refreshing for your prospect because they're going to go, oh, I'm not used to having somebody ask me this. And they're actually going to quite enjoy that process for the most part. But you have to be willing to go there with them. So what are your concerns about? How has doing nothing held you back in the past? How has that other solution impacted you? Or what haven't you liked about that solution? What are the pros and cons? What are you thinking around the pros and cons of this? Like, what are you worried about? And let them unpack it with you on the spot. Because if they don't unpack it with you on the spot, they're going to say, I need to go home and talk about it with my husband, my wife, my dog, my whoever, right? So if you can help them unpack it on the spot, then they don't have to go away. They can actually have that thought process right there with you. They're going to find it very refreshing to have that conversation. You will then be able to isolate the exact issue, provide the solution, and get them over the line. Okay, so for example, you could say, look, I understand that must have been very difficult, but let's work on a solution. And then you're moving them towards that solution. Let's work on a solution for how to move you forward to get you what you want, where you want to be. All right. Number 5 is all about take away all the pressure. Okay. When you get to that point of asking for the sale, again, as long as you have no fear of the no, because no doesn't mean no, it just means not now, then you don't ever need to put any pressure on them. And what you want to do is remove all pressure. That's okay. So, for example, sure, no problem. Like, completely understand you want to talk to your partner, think about it, do some more research. Or no problem, I completely understand you might think that's out of your budget at the moment. Of course, like, can I ask specifically what you'd like to think about? Okay, so you take the pressure off, whatever they said, and then you can go back in and just asking questions. And you get them to keep unpacking. So you want to remove the tension, allow the prospect to feel as though they're in control and that they're making the decision while you continue down a smart line of questioning, helping them come to their own decision, all right? And be prepared to unpack it with them on the spot, but take away all the pressure. So number 6 is de-risking your offer. So you want to be so confident in your offering that you can offer a money-back guarantee with terms, of course, but a money-back guarantee, a solid return or exchange policy if, for whatever reason, your product falls short of the buyer's expectations. So I'd love you to just stop at the moment and think about your current business. Are you offering anything like this? Is it working? Do you find it helps get people over the line because you're de-risking your offer? It gives them just like an insurance. You're going to give them insurance. Look, if it doesn't work, here's what we'll do for you. They're going to feel so much more confident, and straight away that's going to improve your conversions. Okay, so if you're on a website, an e-commerce site, what's your return policy? Let them know straight away. This is what will happen if you order it and it's not for you. Make that really very clear and make it, a really solid happiness guarantee, that you want to let them know we want you to be happy. Whatever whether you're a service or product-based business, offering some kind of money-back guarantee is going to be really important. What about when they've been de-risked before and they got stung by the terms? Look, you have to, you really need to be able to test out and see how waterproof both ways your offerees or your guarantee is. It needs to feel good for you, and it needs to feel good for them, and it needs to be in black and white so that there's no ambiguity. This is how it is. You're signing up based on this. As long as there's nothing hidden, then it's out in the open. So it's not going to work 100% of the time, but you need to have something in place. And what you'll find is if you've got good social proof and people can see that people are happy with what you're offering, then obviously all of these other things that we're talking about all stacks up. It's not one component on its own. It's all of the components of your brand, your positioning, your product, your price. Okay. And part of your product and your price is the offer, the money back guarantee. Okay. So it's not an isolated thing. It's something you use in conjunction to give your customers that peace of mind. Number 7 is surprise and delight. So at the point of closing a sale, a great idea is to build in a bonus that you can use to get a prospect over the line. You either need to use it to get them over the line, or if they've already committed, you can actually surprise and delight them anyway as a loyalty and retention tool. Okay, so this is part of your sales process. So just ask yourself at the moment, do we do anything around it? Do we surprise and delight our customers in any way? Or is it just, thanks for your credit card, see you next time? What are you doing to surprise and delight your customers? So for example, you could say, as part of your sales process, if you did want to get started today, currently we have a bonus offer of an additional 5 months, 6 months of support valued at $5,000. I'd really love to include that for you. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, that's really, really cool. Or maybe they were already buying. You say, well, it's amazing that you're getting started today. I just wanted to let you know that I'd also love to give you a bonus offer of an additional 6 months of support valued at $5,000. Wow, that's awesome. And then you're building loyalty and that returning customer. You're building that lifetime value of your customer. Okay. And number 8 is your follow-up. So have a strong follow-up in place. 44% of salespeople, should really say businesses, stop after one follow-up. So patience is the key to sales. And if you are following up, more than the average salesperson, you're obviously going to pick up the sales that they're missing, okay? It doesn't take a lot. Research shows that after multiple follow-ups, for instance, after the 5th follow-up, the likelihood of closing a deal jumps to 80%. Now, you can obviously test this out, but this is what it's all about. It's like marketing. You got to test things. Test your sales process, test your funnel, test your, every step of your sales funnel. And the money is in the follow-up. Maybe they weren't ready to buy then. They were still in the research mode. But if you do the follow-ups in the right cadence and just at the right time, you might just make that sale. And you've often spent a lot of money up front to get that lead, and you need to make that money back. So the follow-up is so important because it eats straight into your profit. So transforming conversations into sales. We talked about this a little bit when some of you were saying in the chat in the beginning, I'm fine when I'm just chatting, but as soon as it comes to sales, it's really uncomfortable, or I freeze up, or I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. Okay. So what you've got to do is think that sales is simply a conversation. That's all it is. So 3 strategies for this, okay? First of all, understand all your sales channels and your customer journey. Every touch point has the potential to be a sales channel. Don't think, oh, that's just my marketing. It doesn't work like that anymore. Every customer is going to show up differently, want to communicate differently on every single channel. Texting, socials, messenger, WhatsApp, email, website, in-store, in-person, Zoom calls. You're always selling. And you can close people by just having a conversation, which is strategy 2, sell by chat. Okay. Sell by chat is actually a thing. So every single person that follows your business on one of the social channels or reaches out to you about a question, if you engage them in the right way, in a meaningful conversation, you can actually close them. So there's obviously a method to this. Chatting is just that. It's chatting. It's having a quick conversation like you would a friend. So that's, another way to really reframe it is that you're just chatting to a friend. Take all the stress out of it. Hey, mate, how can I help you? Hey, I noticed you didn't get back, somebody follows you on social media. That's an opportunity to start a conversation with them. Hey, you just here for the content, or you're looking for something in particular? Engage with them. Somebody that follows you, somebody writes a comment on a post, they're all opportunities because they've started that first cycle of the positioning. They're looking at your brand. So they want to know what your brand is. And if they actually comment, you've got an opportunity to start the second step, which is the posture, the customer experience, the interaction with your company. So you're 2 steps closer to the sale. And finally, be yourself, be authentic. That's how you're going to stand out. So remove all sales speak. Speak the language of your prospect, your avatar. The more you know your avatar, the more you know your prospect, the more you're going to be able to speak their language. Get down in the trenches with them, what their problem is. Let them know you understand what they're going through, and then let them speak. Let them get it all out. And then after you've done the discovery, you'll then present them with a solution. So some other ideas is, are you offering value first? So that's building trust, okay? Reciprocity in sales, so important. Social proof. What does your social proof look like? Have you got reviews? Do they need a bit of a cleanup? Do you need to solicit some reviews from your really good customers? How are you going to get endorsements? It's so important. Everybody is researching. So you need to make sure that they're watertight and that everybody that looks you up feels confident that other people are happy with your service. Creating scarcity is another really important thing. So highlighting the limited availability of something can be a huge driver in decision making for a buyer. Creating urgency. But you do have to do this in a really smart way. Otherwise, it can just seem like a high pressure sales tactic. But it's definitely something to look at and potentially implement into your sales process. How are you going to do that in a really smart way so that it actually gets people over the line when they have that fear of missing out? And then reinforce the customer's decision. So when they start to go, so do you want vanilla, chocolate, or caramel? If they start to say, I want chocolate, don't start saying, but the caramel's really good too. Reinforce their decision. push them closer to what they want. Oh, the chocolate's really good. You definitely, yeah, that's a great choice. So push them towards, ask them what they like. Don't tell them what you like. Push them and reinforce what they like, and then reinforce their decision. You've made a great decision. It's a great buy. So you want to really help them through the buying process. Okay. So there's a lot of information I've given you there. I'd love to hear any comments, questions in the chat. Happy to answer some of those. Take a moment now to really think about some of those ideas that I just shared with you, and fill out your SWOT again. Maybe there's some opportunities. Maybe you've realized that your strengths are really weaknesses. Maybe you need to start from scratch. Sorry about that. Whatever it is, go back to your SWOT and just have a think about what is really good about our current sales process, what's not. You just realize maybe there's a big gap there, lots you could be doing. Maybe you're already doing a lot of these things and you just need some fine tuning and tweaking. Or maybe you realize you're doing really well and all you need to do is build out your sales team. Maybe that's where you're at, and turn up your marketing spend to get more leads. But maybe what you need to do here now is, what can I implement in the opportunities quadrant? What are you going to do? Okay. Fill that out there. Micah has asked, what is the suggested frequency for a follow-up? It depends, Micah, on many things. It could be, if it's on email, if it's on text message, obviously but really think about what makes sense. Too soon between your last interaction isn't going to make sense, but too far away isn't going to make sense either, because they might have already gone and bought it. So there is, some theories out there, for example, that, doing sort of a spaced out follow-up method where, if it's on email, where you do an email the next day and then 2 days later and then 3 days later and then 4 days later. So that's an idea. And then continuing that, okay? And then maybe you don't get too much further out than that. But at first, when they first sign up, you want to hit them a lot because they're obviously interested. But then you don't want to hit them every day because that becomes annoying. So you start to space it out. But it depends what channel. But, with sell by chat, it could be 24 hours. They might have, I'm looking for such and such, and you've actually engaged them, and you go back to them 24 hours later. Hey, John, just wanted to check you saw my message. Are you still interested in that X, Y, and Z? No response. You could do, 24 hours again on chat. Hey, John, just reaching out. Want to make sure that I answered all your questions. Is it me, or is it, you can just do some funny things in there just to sort of pique their interest and get them engaged again. So it depends is the answer, Micah. Just don't be annoying. Just do it something that feels good, that would feel good for you, and it makes sense in your sales process. Question. We have a great meeting, awesome. You have a great meeting, awesome report, product and objectives align, then they ghost. Yep. Don't respond or return messages. How to deal with ghosting. Yeah, it's a great question, and it's common. What I would say is, you'll never fully know why they've gone MIA. You won't know, except if you've missed something in your sales process because you haven't asked enough questions. So if you get down to the nitty-gritty with somebody, if you've gone towards their fears, you're willing to unpack what's really going on for them, then you're going to really find out what's going on. Often I'll have conversations with prospects, and what I'll find out because of my line of questioning is actually they've got a sister who's about to go into hospital for chemo, and they're actually funding it, and they're going to have to go to Brisbane every 3 days to help her. But they're not going to tell you that about the real reason they're not moving forward unless you actually go deep with them. Now, sometimes this is appropriate and sometimes it's not. It depends on how long you've got with them, what your product is you're selling, all of those kinds of things. But if they ghost you, it's probably because you've missed something along the process. You've missed a step. So get a solid process in place. Make sure you're following the process. And then they're less likely to ghost you, or they're more likely to be honest with you. As opposed to ghost you, they'll just give you an answer. No, sorry, I've found something else. Isn't that better to get a decision than no decision and just have them ghost you? So when you get a solid sales process in place, when they trust you, know, like, and trust you enough, they won't ghost you as much. You'll find the ghosting is reduced because they'll feel like they can just be honest with you. So I'd say there's a trust thing there where they just didn't feel it enough. And so they don't value the conversation you've had with them, and then they ghost you. So where can you tighten up your sales process so that you have a better connection with your prospect, and then see if that helps? So Marissa's saying, with selling courses, for example, I have come across many ADHD clients who know they buy and never act because they don't focus so well. So that's their objection. Any suggestions, or just find new prospects? No, you definitely. So if that's something you're coming across, it's worthwhile spending some time on that objection. So similar to what we went through in terms of isolating the issue. Okay, so in the past, you found that you've got a habit of not being able to focus, and not completing what you started. I understand that. It can be difficult. It can be difficult for people without ADHD. So I understand that that can be a problem for you. What if, but what if, and I don't know your solution, but help them through that. Help them, show them how your solution is going to be different, what you've done to mitigate that for them, and hold their hand through that process. Because if nothing changes, this is what you say to the prospect, if nothing changes, you're going to be in the same position as you were in 12 months' time. So you've got two choices from this road forward, Marissa. You've either got to do this, or you're going to be still spinning your tires in 12 months' time. And what I can help you do is X, Y, and Z. Do you think that would be helpful? So again, it comes back to that tip about unpacking the issue with them, helping them through it to help them make the decision, and get down in the trenches and let them really feel like how speak their language, and let them know that and understand what their challenges are, and you're going to help. You're going to be the person to help them through it. Can the courses be designed? That's up to you. If that's an area you want to focus on, then that's a different story. That's a product question. But in terms of helping them, then that's how all those 8 steps that I shared with you can be absolutely beneficial if you implement them. So hopefully you've done your SWOT on this. Hope you should have built out your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats. A recap on what we talked about today. We've talked about how to avoid common sales mistakes and recognize and steer clear of the errors that most people are making in their business. How to turn conversations into sales. Remove the pressure, and it's just a conversation. Just finding out what do you need? Let them talk. Smart questioning. Let them sell themselves. Communicate value with confidence. So this is every step of that. So remember, positioning, posture, product, price. Don't miss one of those. Make sure they're all watertight. Understanding your buyer behavior, which is what I just said. So grasp What makes somebody say yes? They need to be a 5 out of 5 on all of those before they'll. And part of price is that de-risk your offer so that they feel like they have an insurance. Strong follow-up. Most potential buyers need so many contact points before buying. So, you know, some say it's 7 contact points. They want to be able to get an email from you, see you on social media, you know, get some emails through and really get to know you before they'll actually take that step. So make sure you have a follow-up process built into your sales strategy. And finally, as I said at the top of the call, take action on 1 or 2 insights on this. Don't try and do all of them at once. That's going to be a mistake. Nobody can put all of these in place. But decide on 1 or 2 really key steps that you're going to do to improve your sales, and take action on those and implement them into your business today. So hopefully, oh, hang on a second. I've got one more slide. Hopefully that was helpful. I am offering a free strategy session if you're interested. So you can scan this QR code. I think Trinity's going to put a link in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just popped a couple of links in the chat there. So we've got a link if you're not already a member of the Peel Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So these events are really valuable and you can actually join them for free if you're a member. So make sure you sign up there. And yes, Lyndelle, tell us a little bit about that first coaching call they can book with you.
Yeah, so if you're interested, I'm offering a free strategy session. We'll jump on, understand what challenges you're having in your business. And it's just a complimentary, no obligation call, session, coaching session where I'll guide you through whatever it is that you would like help with. And you know, I'd love to meet some of you and coach you on those sessions. So feel free to book in a call with me.
That's fantastic. Thank you again, Lyndelle. It was amazing to have everybody here with us live today as well. So if you'd like to learn any more, make sure that you follow up with the Peel Chamber of Commerce and also book in that free session. You can also follow us on LinkedIn as well, where we share some valuable updates there. But thank you so much, Ian, and Peel Chamber of Commerce for hosting us here today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Trinity, and thank you to Lyndelle. Very good session. I think hopefully everyone's like me and got a bucket load of notes written down. So thank you very much for your presentation today, and also to Business Station Trinity for hosting the event this afternoon. So thank you.
Wonderful. We'll get the recording sent around and we look forward to speaking to you guys again soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.